This is the Toy Dolls. 45 years of
45 RPM.
Right, Olga. We're beginning our journey today back in July 1980 with Tommy Kowey's Car. This is a few months into the life of the band, and this was your first single. Can you give the viewers a bit of background as to the circumstances and the finance that enabled this release? Because there were no big record companies based in Sunderland, so it was very much the kind of punk do-it-yourself sort of ethic, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Actually, it was 1979. It was just before 1980. I think it was released in 1980.
Yeah.
We managed to persuade a local businessman, Ian McKeith, who owned Harvey's restaurant in Sunderland, to put up the money. I don't know how much it was, 500 or 600 quid, to make 500 copies of the single.
Yeah.
It was impossible to get a record deal. No one was interested. No one knew who we were. And he very kindly offered.
Yeah.
So we went for it.
That's a great thing. And initially you sold most of the copies of the single at gigs. And this was an early example of Olga multitasking, where it would become a feature of your life with looking after everything. So was it that you wanted to make sure everything was done properly, or was nobody else available to look into design and image and selling the records?
Yeah, well, I'm a control freak.
Surely not.
There's no one was really interested in helping at all, to be honest.
But it gave you a lot of experience in working on the different aspects.
It did.
Of band life. And I saw a copy for sale recently online for 400 quid. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, we'd done a gig at the Empire in Sunderland with a band called The Executives. The drummer from them was Teddy, who went on to join us.
Yeah.
And I was walking around with a whole box of them, Tommy Kowey's cars, asking if anybody would want to take one at the end of the gig. I mean, they were free.
Yeah.
And no one would want one.
Nobody wanted them. Yeah.
Said, no, we haven't got the room.
How things change, huh?
Yeah, 400 quid. I mean, I wouldn't pay 400 quid for it, but there you go.
I'm sure a lot of people still would, though, yeah. So the recording studio, as far as I can remember, for this release was Link Studio, a 16-track.
That's right.
What I'm interested in, and I'm sure a lot of people who are used to, particularly younger viewers who are into music in a digital sense, in the guitars in the bedroom and stuff and putting them straight out there. What are your memories of the kind of setup and hardware, machines and physical tape, the mixing desk and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was physical tape. There were actual tape recorders.
Yeah.
It was an analog disc, which means the opposite of digital. And it took, you couldn't, if you needed a mix, it would take a long time. If you wanted to remix it, you have to put everything back to scratch, it was a lot more fun, to be honest, a lot more hands-on. But, it took a long, long time.
Yeah. And it's what it was at the time. That's all that was available. So you're used to it. And
Actually, I think it might have been 8-track, thinking of it. It was 8 or 16. I can't remember one.
It's not all that much room to bounce around, is there?
No, there was that. Yeah, it was literally bouncing so many things, like 3 or 4 guitars onto one track and then bouncing back. And
by today's standards, you've got infinite numbers of tracks to bounce around.
Oh yeah, people have got little laptops with like 200 tracks on in the bedroom.
Back then, it was you're a bit more restrained, right?
Yeah, totally.
And the choice of songs, we've got Tommy Kowey's Car notionally on the A side and She Goes to Fino's on the B side. But a lot of people think of it as a double A, but it wasn't. The choice of songs would have been obvious because both songs are catchy tunes about your life at the time, which has always been a key element of your songwriting. Now, your late partner Angela was the subject behind both songs. Firstly, for anyone who doesn't know the story behind Tommy Kowey's Car, can you outline the details?
Yeah, it's all in the words. I saw her in Tommy Kowey's Car. It wasn't actually Tommy Kowey, it was Andrew Tommy Kowey, which is his son of Tommy. We had to change the spelling from C to a K, but it really is about the C guy. Somebody else saw her getting in. She was just getting a lift from one of the showrooms that she worked into another one. I don't think it was actually going out for dinner with them, but you've got to be a bit melodramatic when you're writing songs.
Where's the song if it's just a straightforward lift? Yeah. That's right, yeah. And the Kowey company, you mentioned the changing of the spelling there, they weren't too happy. There were rumours about getting sued and the changing of Kowey spelling in Hilton, with the I and the Y there in Hilton Road. And it got very confused in people's minds. So can you refresh us about the legal situation? What suggest, what charges were...
we didn't actually get sued, but we heard that we were going to get sued, even by just changing the name, with the K. I mean, we did get sued for different things at a later date, which you probably come up.
I'm sure we'll get onto that, yeah.
And around about that time, we had a song about this local guy called Jenky, and he actually called and he said he will sue us if we release the record about him. So we changed it to a K and just hope for the best.
Yeah, that's right. And Fino's, as in She Goes to Fino's, was a genuine nightclub in Sunderland at the time. And again, Angela was behind the song. Can you tell us the story about that? Was it one genuine night, or was it just a sort of?
No, it was every night I went there, trying to get in because she was going out with someone else, and I tried to get in, and I just wasn't allowed in. They said I didn't look old enough, to be honest.
Well, you don't now.
Of course not. So I think I was about 18 or something at the time, 17, 18. But I did manage to get in. I know it's going to be your next question. I did get in eventually.
You did finally get in.
But she wasn't there, but there you go.
Oh, well. And Fino's had been recorded as a much slower version by your previous band, the Showbiz Kids.
It's marginally slower. Yeah, it's more pedestrian.
Different sort of vibe and a different vocal, obviously. But, what do you remember of the pride you felt in seeing your early songs appearing on vinyl? Again, this is a very different time, isn't it? And seeing physical records for sale.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really special thing. You think you write the song in the bedroom, and then a few weeks later it's actually on a physical record and people can actually buy it. It's
with your name on and everything.
Yeah, with your name on and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessary to have records for us, to be honest, because we're a live band. But it's a nice addition to what you do.
Yeah, that's it. And how important do you think it was back then for any band, or particularly somewhere away from London, to have a single out to consolidate the reputation that people would be starting? And you in particular, you've got a really strong reputation on the live circuit in the Northeast. Having a single out, do you think that topped it all?
Yeah. I mean, because we were stuck in the Northeast, at least we got a single out. People can hear if it's played on the radio and that, like nationally. I think it's an important thing. But I mean, like I'm saying, it's not necessary. But at the time, it was more necessary because it was the only way people could actually hear us.
Yeah, sure.
Radio
play would have been difficult, I think.
Yeah, as it is now. But very.
That's great. Well, thanks for talking to us about Tommy Kowey's Car. I look forward to speaking to you about further singles in later chats.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olga.
Thank you.